The other thing I'm thinking about building is a fence stretcher. And what I mean by that is, I noticed they also sold a tool in the store that you could use to stretch the fence with to make it a little bit easier to you know, get it all hooked up. And I think, well, I can make one of those too. So while I got everything out, I think I'll just make me a quick little fence stretcher here. It reminds me of a story. Back when I had one of my first jobs, when I was just a young feller, this boy came out, and he's a young feller, and he showed up in a straw hat, and he said that he asked his mama to give him enough money to go to a concert, and this was back during the Woodstock days, just to give you a little timeline there. And Mom said he wouldn't give him the money, said he had to go out and earn it himself. So he came up to the construction site where he was working. He made the mistake of telling us that story, which is a mistake, because if you're working with a bunch of guys who's working hard trying to keep food on the table, and you tell them you're coming to work because you need tickets to a concert, and it's 1960 something, you know, you're probably going to be in for a lot of ribbon. Well, this boy showed up with a straw hat on. And back in those days, there was a brand of pickles you could buy. It was called Pickel Patch. Had a picture of a boy on the front of it with a straw hat and a fishing pole over his cane, fishing cane over his shoulder. So we just right away nicknamed this boy Pickel Patch. And Henry, the one-handed crook that I used to work for, used to get a lot of fun out of sending Pickel Patch to look for a beam stretcher. Well, there ain't no such thing as a beam stretcher, but Pickel Patch would get so worked up because Henry would pretend like this was a real thing, and like Pickel Patch was going to lose his job if he didn't find one. Pickel Patch would go find a superintendent of the construction project, and just, you know, it got so bad the superintendent of the construction project came around and said, would you please stop sending that boy out to get a beam stretcher, because he was just running them crazy. Well, what I'm making isn't something like that. This is a real thing that's going to stretch some fence so that I can put it together. I'll show you how it works after I get it fabricated. And like I say, I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Talk to you later. I guess I ought to tell you the rest of the story about Pickel Patch since I started that. We had another guy on a job site named Travis. Travis was not the biggest or the meanest person on a job site, but he was the scariest. He could threaten better than anybody I ever saw, and he loved to fight. Now, I never saw Travis win a fight. Travis picked a lot of fights, and I never could figure that out because he was always picking fights with people, and he was always getting the crap beat out of himself. But it didn't stop him. He just must have loved to fight because he just kept picking fights. So one day, Pickel Patch was on one end of a floor joist and Travis was on the other. And Travis had this big 28-ounce hammer. Travis was the kind of person that would stand on the roof, shake his hammer at the sky during a lightning storm and curse God. That's the kind of person Travis was. And Travis was yelling at Pickel Patch because Pickel Patch was looking off into the woods daydreaming. Travis says, Pickel Patch, you hold that board still. And Pickel Patch was holding the board, and Travis put a nail in it. He took that big 20-ounce hammer and he reared back, and just as he brought it down, Travis moved the board. And Pickel Patch moved the board. Travis's foot shifted and he hit himself in the leg and broke his leg. Well, Pickel Patch knew that Travis was going to kill him, so he come down off the building and took off running, and we never saw him again. And that was the end of our relationship with Pickel Patch. But the interesting thing was we found out later from Henry that when Pickel Patch showed up to pick up his check, just so happened it was exactly enough to pay for the tickets to the concert he wanted to go to. So, you know, as far as Pickel Patch was concerned, I'd say things worked out pretty good. Wasn't that great for Travis, but you know, Travis got over it. I mean, I think he liked a little violence, and he probably still remembers Pickel Patch with a little bit of fondness to this day. Anyway, there's a story about Pickel Patch. I wanted to show you, I did finish my fence stretcher over here. And let me turn my welder off, and I'll show you what it looks like. It ain't the prettiest thing I ever seen. Probably I need to make a few adjustments to it, but this is basically how it's going to work. And this metal that I made these hooks out of is light enough so I can bend them a little bit. So basically this will hook into the fence like this, and then there's a little hook right here, and when I pull on that hook, it'll stretch this chain link fence, and then I can pull it past the point where I want it to go and put a rod down through there and bolt it to the poles. That should work real nice. That's from the store. That piece there run me about 25 bucks. That other piece that I made inside there run me about 25 bucks. So I just saved myself $50 making this stuff myself. So $50 is good. That'll pay for, well, it'll almost pay for a tire for the hot rod. So there you go. Y'all have a nice day.